While Europeans were living in mud huts and throwing their waste into the streets, there was a Native American metropolis in North America with a population larger than London, Paris, and Rome combined. This wasn't some primitive village. It was a sophisticated urban center with skyscrapers, complex infrastructure, and engineering achievements that wouldn't be matched in Europe for centuries. Then it mysteriously vanished, leaving behind one of archaeology's greatest puzzles and proof that everything you were taught about primitive Native Americans is a complete lie. Let's talk about Cahokia, the massive Native American city that your history textbooks deliberately ignore because it destroys the narrative that Europeans brought civilization to an empty wilderness. Located in present-day Illinois near St. Louis, Cahokia was a thriving metropolis with over 20,000 residents at its peak around 1100 CE, making it larger than London, Paris, or any other European city of that time period. This wasn't just a big village. It was a planned urban center with sophisticated architecture, complex infrastructure, and population density that rivaled modern cities. The scale of Cahokia would shock most Americans who were taught that Native Americans lived in scattered tribes hunting buffalo. Archaeological evidence shows a massive urban complex covering nearly 6 square miles, with over 120 earthen mounds serving as foundations for buildings, ceremonial structures, and residential areas. The largest mound, Monk's Mound, is still the biggest prehistoric earthwork in North America, larger at its base than the Great Pyramid of Giza, and requiring an estimated 22 million cubic feet of earth moved entirely by human labor. The sheer magnitude of construction at Cahokia becomes even more impressive when you consider the logistics involved. Moving 22 million cubic feet of earth without mod. Machinery required organizing thousands of workers, coordinating their efforts across decades of construction, and maintaining supply lines for food, water, and tools. The project management skills needed to orchestrate construction on this scale exceeded anything European societies were attempting during the same period. Construction techniques used at Cahokia demonstrate sophisticated engineering knowledge that modern archaeologists continue to study and admire. The earthworks show evidence of careful soil selection, moisture control, and compaction methods that created stable structures lasting over 1,000 years. These weren't random piles of dirt. They were precisely engineered foundations that required understanding of soil mechanics, drainage principles, and structural stability. But here's what makes Cahokia's engineering even more impressive. It was built without metal tools, wheeled vehicles, or large domesticated animals. Every shovelful of the 22 million cubic feet of earth was moved by human workers using wooden tools and woven baskets. The mathematical precision required to create stable earthworks of this magnitude demonstrates engineering knowledge that European builders were still struggling to achieve, with more advanced tools and technology. The construction timeline for Cahokia represents one of the most ambitious building projects in human history. Archaeological evidence suggests the main construction phase occurred over approximately 200 years, requiring the coordinated labor of thousands of workers and the organizational capabilities to plan, execute, and complete massive infrastructure projects. The logistics alone, feeding construction crews, coordinating work schedules, and managing materials transport, required administrative sophistication that European societies were still developing. Urban planning at Cahokia demonstrates understanding of city design principles that modern urban planners study and admire. The city was laid out around a central grand plaza, covering 40 acres, larger than most modern city centers, surrounded by residential neighborhoods, craft production areas, and ceremonial complexes arranged in a logical pattern that optimized traffic flow and resource distribution. The residential layout shows clear evidence of social stratification and planned development that contradicts stereotypes about egalitarian Native American societies. Elite housing areas featured larger structures on artificial mounds, while common residences were arranged in organized neighborhoods with standardized building techniques. This urban hierarchy demonstrates complex social organization and economic specialization that required sophisticated governance systems. Infrastructure systems at Cahokia included features that European cities wouldn't develop for centuries. Archaeological evidence shows planned drainage systems that managed water flow throughout the urban area, preventing flooding and maintaining sanitary conditions. Carefully engineered roads connected different districts and facilitated movement of goods and people throughout the metropolitan area. The engineering required to create effective drainage in a flood-prone river valley demonstrates understanding of hydrology, construction techniques, and long-term planning that European urban centers were still learning. Without modern equipment, Cahokian engineers created water management systems that functioned effectively for hundreds of years and prevented the waterlogging that plagued European cities of the same period. Population density at Cahokia approached levels that required sophisticated resource management and supply systems. Archaeological estimates suggest peak population reached 20,000 people within the urban core, with surrounding agricultural and residential areas supporting additional thousands. This population concentration required food production, distribution, and waste management systems that could sustain urban living without modern technology. Food production systems supporting Cahokia included intensive agriculture that fed urban populations while maintaining agricultural productivity over centuries. Archaeological evidence shows sophisticated farming techniques, including raised field systems that improved drainage and soil quality, crop rotation methods that maintained fertility, and food storage systems that could support large populations through seasonal variations. The agricultural technology required to support Cahokia's population demonstrates farming knowledge that was more advanced than European agricultural methods of the same period. Cahokian farmers understood soil management, water control, and crop breeding techniques that maximize productivity while maintaining sustainability, principles that modern agriculture is still trying to perfect. Trade networks centered at Cahokia extended across most of North America and represent one of the largest commercial systems in the pre-modern world. Archaeological evidence shows trade goods from the Great Lakes, the Gulf Coast, the Rocky Mountains, and the Atlantic seaboard, indicating commercial relationships that spanned thousands of miles and required sophisticated logistics and diplomatic arrangements. The complexity of Cahokian trade networks becomes apparent when you examine the distances involved and the coordination required. Copper from Michigan's Upper Peninsula had to travel over 400 miles, while shells from the Gulf of Mexico covered distances exceeding 700 miles. These were not occasional trading expeditions. They represent systematic commercial relationships that operate reliably for centuries. Trading logistics require detailed knowledge of seasonal travel patterns, weather conditions, and territorial boundaries between different tribal groups. Cahokian merchants had to negotiate safe passage through multiple territories, maintain relationships with dozens of trading partners, and coordinate delivery schedules that accounted for seasonal variations and travel difficulties. The standardization of trade goods found at Cahokia suggests quality control systems and manufacturing specifications that ensured consistent products across vast distribution networks. This commercial sophistication required administrative systems, record-keeping methods, and dispute resolution mechanisms that modern international trade organizations still struggle to achieve. The variety of trade goods found at Cahokia includes copper from Michigan, shells from Florida, obsidian from Yellowstone, and mica from North Carolina, materials that had to be transported hundreds or thousands of miles using canoe networks, overland trails, and intermediate trading partners. The organizational capabilities required to maintain these supply chains exceeded European commercial systems of the same period. Quality control and standardization evident in Cahokian trade goods demonstrate manufacturing sophistication that produced consistent, high-quality products for export markets. Specialized craft production included pottery, tools, ornaments, and ceremonial objects that were traded throughout North America and established Cahokia as a major manufacturing center. Architectural achievements at Cahokia included building techniques that modern engineers study for inspiration. The construction methods used to create stable earthworks, wooden structures, and ceremonial buildings demonstrate understanding of materials, science, structural engineering, and architectural design that produced buildings capable of lasting for centuries. Timber construction techniques used sophisticated joinery methods, load distribution systems, and weather protection that created durable buildings without metal fasteners or modern tools. Archaeological evidence shows buildings that could accommodate hundreds of people for ceremonies and gatherings, requiring structural engineering knowledge that European builders were still developing. The precision of Cahokian earthwork construction demonstrates mathematical knowledge and surveying techniques that achieved accuracy, rivaling modern construction equipment. The angles, proportions, and alignments of major structures show understanding of geometry and spatial planning that required advanced mathematical concepts. Astronomical alignments built into Cahokian architecture demonstrate scientific knowledge that combined practical and ceremonial functions. Major structures are oriented to track solar and lunar cycles with precision that enabled accurate calendar systems and seasonal predictions essential for agricultural planning and social organization. The famous Cahokian woodhenge, a series of wooden posts arranged in circles, functioned as sophisticated astronomical observation instruments that could predict eclipses, track planetary movements, and maintain calendars accurate enough for complex social and economic planning. This astronomical knowledge exceeded European scientific capabilities of the same period. Social organization at Cahokia included complex hierarchical systems that coordinated large populations while maintaining social stability over centuries. Archaeological evidence shows clear elite classes, specialized occupations, and administrative systems that managed urban services, trade relationships, and construction projects requiring thousands of workers. The social complexity at Cahokia is evident in the differentiated housing patterns, burial practices, and access to luxury goods that indicate multiple levels of social hierarchy. Elite residences on major mounds featured larger living spaces, specialized storage areas, and access to imported luxury items, while common housing areas showed standardized construction and more limited access to trade goods. Occupational specialization at Cahokia included full-time craftsmen, administrative officials, religious specialists, and military personnel who didn't participate directly in food production. This level of economic specialization required surplus agricultural production and redistribution systems that could support non-farming populations, a characteristic of advanced civilizations worldwide. Administrative systems required to manage Cahokian society included record-keeping methods, resource allocation systems, and decision-making processes that coordinated activities across the metropolitan area. While no written records survive, the organizational complexity evident in archaeological remains suggests administrative sophistication that rivaled contemporary civilizations with writing systems. Social control mechanisms at Cahokia included legal systems, enforcement capabilities, and conflict resolution processes that maintained order among diverse populations with different cultural backgrounds. The peaceful coexistence of large populations required social institutions and governance systems that modern urban planners study for insights into managing diversity and preventing social conflict. The governance systems required to manage Cahokia's complexity included administrative capabilities that coordinated resource allocation, conflict resolution, and decision-making for populations larger than most modern cities. This organizational sophistication challenges assumptions about Native American political systems and demonstrates administrative knowledge that European societies were still developing. Military organization and defensive systems at Cahokia included fortification walls, strategic positioning, and warrior classes that protected the urban center and its trade networks from external threats. Archaeological evidence shows planned defensive structures and evidence of organized military activities that required tactical knowledge and strategic planning. Economic specialization at Cahokia included craft production, trade management, agricultural systems, and service industries that created a complex urban economy. Specialized neighborhoods produced specific goods, while trade districts managed commercial activities that connected Cahokia to markets throughout North America. The economic sophistication required to support urban populations included monetary systems, credit arrangements, and market regulations that facilitated commerce and resource distribution. Archaeological evidence suggests standardized value systems and commercial practices that enabled complex economic relationships. Religious and ceremonial systems at Cahokia included massive public works, ritual spaces, and spiritual practices that unified diverse populations and provided social cohesion for the urban community. The scale of ceremonial architecture demonstrates the importance of spiritual systems in maintaining social organization and political authority. Cultural influence of Cahokia extended throughout the Mississippian cultural region and shaped Native American societies across much of the eastern United States. Archaeological evidence shows Cahokian artistic styles, architectural techniques, and social practices spreading to communities hundreds of miles away, indicating cultural influence that rivals great civilizations throughout world history. The mysterious abandonment of Cahokia around 1400 CE remains one of archaeology's greatest puzzles and provides insight into the challenges facing complex societies. Various theories suggest climate change, resource depletion, political conflicts, or disease epidemics. But the exact causes remain unknown despite decades of archaeological investigation. Environmental stress indicators found in archaeological layers suggest that climate change may have played a significant role in Cahokia's decline. The Little Ice Age created cooler temperatures and changed precipitation patterns that could have disrupted agricultural systems supporting large urban populations. Flooding events and droughts documented in geological evidence coincide with periods of apparent population decline. Resource depletion around Cahokia shows evidence of overexploitation that may have made the urban center unsustainable. Deforestation from construction and fuel needs, soil exhaustion from intensive agriculture, and depletion of local game populations could have created environmental pressures that forced population dispersal. Political factors in Cahokia's abandonment may have included internal conflicts over resources, external pressure from competing groups, or breakdown of the administrative systems that managed urban complexity. The concentration of power and resources at Cahokia may have created tensions with surrounding communities that eventually led to conflict and abandonment. Disease epidemics could have devastated Cahokian populations and disrupted social systems enough to trigger urban abandonment. The population density that made Cahokia impressive also created conditions for rapid disease transmission that could have caused demographic collapse and social breakdown. The abandonment process appears to have been gradual rather than sudden, suggesting planned relocation rather than catastrophic destruction. Archaeological evidence shows decreasing construction activity, reduced trade volume, and gradual population decline over several decades rather than immediate evacuation. Environmental factors may have contributed to Cahokia's decline through climate changes that affected agricultural productivity, flooding patterns that disrupted urban infrastructure, or resource depletion that made the urban center unsustainable. Archaeological evidence shows signs of environmental stress that may have forced population relocation. Political instability could have led to Cahokia's abandonment through internal conflicts, external warfare, or administrative breakdown that made urban living impossible. The complexity of managing such a large urban center may have created political challenges that the governance systems couldn't resolve. Social factors, including population pressure, resource competition, or cultural changes, may have motivated the abandonment of urban living in favor of smaller, more dispersed communities. The transition from urban to rural living represents a major cultural shift that affected Native American societies throughout the region. Archaeological evidence of Cahokia's abandonment includes empty buildings, discontinued construction projects, and gradual population decline rather than sudden destruction. This suggests planned relocation rather than catastrophic abandonment, indicating that Cahokian society maintained organization and decision-making capabilities even during the transition away from urban living. The legacy of Cahokia continued to influence Native American societies long after the urban center was abandoned. Archaeological evidence shows Mississippian cultural practices, architectural techniques, and social organizations spreading throughout the southeastern United States and lasting until European contact. Modern archaeological techniques continue to reveal new information about Cahokia's sophistication and challenge assumptions about Native American urban development. Ground-penetrating radar, satellite imaging, and advanced dating techniques provide increasingly detailed pictures of Cahokian society and its achievements. Recent discoveries at Cahokia include evidence of even larger populations, more extensive trade networks, and greater architectural complexity than previously recognized. These findings continue to expand understanding of Native American urban civilization and its place in world history. Conservation efforts at the Cahokia site work to preserve remaining earthworks and artifacts while educating modern visitors about the significance of Native American urban achievement. The site now functions as both an archaeological preserve and an educational center that challenges stereotypes about indigenous North American societies. Educational programs about Cahokia help correct historical misconceptions and provide accurate information about Native American civilizations. These efforts work to counter the deliberate historical erasure that excluded Cahokian achievements from mainstream American education and historical narratives. Comparative studies between Cahokia and other world civilizations demonstrate that Native American urban development paralleled or exceeded contemporary societies in Europe, Asia, and Africa. These comparisons challenge Eurocentric historical narratives and provide more accurate perspectives on global human development. The significance of Cahokia extends beyond American history to represent one of the great urban civilizations in human history. The engineering, organizational, and cultural achievements of Cahokian society demonstrate capabilities that challenge assumptions about technological and social development in pre-modern ETS. By now, you should understand that Cahokia represents everything wrong with how American history is taught and how Native American achievements have been systematically erased from historical narratives. This wasn't a primitive village. It was a sophisticated metropolis that exceeded European urban development by centuries and demonstrates technological and organizational capabilities that modern cities struggle to match. The deliberate exclusion of Cahokia from American education represents historical malpractice that perpetuates racist stereotypes while ignoring one of North America's greatest civilizations. The engineering, urban planning, and social organization achievements of Cahokian society deserve recognition as major accomplishments in human history. The next time someone talks about Europeans bringing civilization to the Americas, remember that they encountered urban civilizations that were more advanced than anything in Europe at the time. Cahokia proves that Native Americans created sophisticated cities, complex societies, and remarkable achievements that European civilization was still centuries away from matching.